Hey everyone, it's Stellar Steel, and it's time to steel yourself for an ongoing series of another episode of an interview of a very special person here today. Of course, no exception for them here. They are known as the live-action Pokemon guy. They're a bit of a streamer, and of course, content creator on YouTube that make things such as maybe Blender tutorials to help people out with, say, modeling Pokemon to animate stuff. Well, why don't you go and introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, I am WeeMonkey2, and like Steel said, I am a 3D animator who likes to focus on Pokemon animations, specifically live-action Pokemon animations, 3D renders, and the occasional stream every now and again. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. But I think I'll go in with the first question that asks, how did you get your start on YouTube? I see that you've had your WeeMonkey channel since 2014. I didn't pay attention if you uploaded videos since then.
Well, the story actually goes back a little bit further than that. I've actually been making videos since 2010, but back then I didn't upload those videos to YouTube. I just kind of showed them around to my family or anybody else that I knew in real life. So back then I actually wasn't really allowed to have a YouTube channel. So what I would do, or the idea is that I recorded a bunch of little videos that I planned to post on YouTube once I got a YouTube channel, and that came around 2014. And yeah, how did I start on YouTube? So pretty much that. I didn't actually start out making animations. I mainly started out making like little skits with videos and stuff. So like what I would do is I would take a game like Smash Bros or Zelda, and I'd make like these little stories inside the game. So like maybe it would be like these two characters have an interaction with each other, or they're trying to get to some sort of objective. It's if you ever heard of the term like video game machinima, that's kind of what I did, except back then they weren't like professional looking. They were just kind of me putting a video camera in front of my television, turning on record, and voicing every single character myself.
Yeah,
it was.
I think we've all had some sort of like passion background like that, where like we want to record something, but I never actually got to like animation. I think I did have a bit of a passion for that animation stuff, but yeah, I think as well, like, yeah, obviously parents would allow you to have a YouTube channel that early, but I didn't realize it was that early 2010. That's a bit sooner than myself, but that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask, it made me think of a follow-up question. I forget what I was going to say. Maybe I'll think about it later. Okay. Everything on here is mainly just, like, stuff that I possibly get follow-up questions. I think there's quite a bit for you to answer on here, but I do like your start, how you said about that. Yeah, machinima stuff, I think the term was a bit foreign for me, but eventually I learned what that meant. And yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. You started with Smash Bros, you said then?
Yeah, actually, I think the first like video I made was with Wind Waker, but it was kind of just like this one-off skit. So it was just like I put my camera in front of my TV, pressed record, like did some weird voice acting stuff, and then hit end record, and just that was the video. But Smash Bros is one of the first games I did that with, because like Smash Bros gives you a lot of options with creative ways to make stories and stuff. So you have a lot of characters, you have a lot of stages, you have a lot of stuff to work with.
Oh yeah, that game especially. I know too well, especially with each installment, they just add more and more, and I'm sure maybe I'm sure there's somebody like you out there starting with Smash Bros similarly, and I'm sure they have a lot to work with, even more than what, like, back then with what I'm going to say that was, like, Brawl days, yeah. There was a lot of different stuff. I think it's pretty impressive, not only that, but, like, just how much stuff they add into that game. But that's a pretty cool start, I gotta say. Do you still have your videos, like, any of that stuff still up from 2010, around that time?
It's a lot of the videos I did film, because I filmed a lot. Like I think I filmed about like maybe 200 videos before I actually got a YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
For like, yeah, it was like, again, Smash Bros, Zelda. I had like these little ongoing stories, and I made like episodes and stuff like that. None of that is still on my YouTube channel, and a lot of it actually didn't reach my YouTube channel, because like 5 years is a lot of time to realize, whoa, this is actually not the best like quality. So I didn't really want to put it up then. So it's just still around on my computer.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair and understandable, because A lot of our older work we don't really care for as much. It's just, it's obviously a start. Nobody's gonna have some amazing start. I gotta ask though, then next. So, any sort of inspirations that made you decide to go this route, and why exactly did you choose, like, instead of like doing something like Let's Playing or really any other type of stuff, you chose like the Machinima sort of like, animation Blender route. Like, why did you decide to go for that? I'm just curious.
Well, I've always been a storyteller. I love sharing stories that I come up with other people. So even back when I was doing little Machinima stuff, which I don't really do anymore, that's a thing of the past. But back then, like, my passion was just telling stories. And when it kind of switched over from Machinima to like Blender animations is like, well, I'll probably go into a little bit more detail about this later, but I've always, like, I'm a very big Pokemon fan, and I've always had this, like, this imagination for, like, what would Pokemon be like in real life? So I just started looking up, like, Pokemon real life stuff, and I found this video by Fedora CO, or Fedora Co, called Pokemon Battle in Real Life, and it should be one of the first results that pops up if you just search for it in Google. And it's a video from 2013, but, like, when I was younger and I saw that, I was just absolutely, like, fascinated, because it's kind of a silly little battle animation video of these, like, two guys just, like, having a battle in real life. And I was like, it came to me that I was like, wait, this is something that I can do. Like, this is something that is possible. Like, I don't need to be this guy in, like, this big corporation in order to make, like, this type of stuff. I can just do it. So then I started looking up some tutorials. Before that, I actually found another channel called Flavio Powers, who had an entire, like I think it's like an entire mini series of live action Pokemon animations from like 2011. That also served as a pretty big inspiration for the animations I started doing. But anyway, I started looking up some tutorials on how I could do stuff like that. I found Blender because Blender was a free software. It was very accessible, and there was a bunch of tutorials out there for it. And there was a few tutorials specifically for Pokemon models, which aren't really the best today, but they existed and they helped me get my start. And then I just kind of started going from there. I'd take like a photo or a video, and then I'd just do a little Blender magic and try to composite a Pokemon in there. Obviously, like, being my first time, it wasn't the best, but I still think it's all right. Like, not perfect, but it was at least viewable.
It definitely sounds like a wide variety of inspirations. I think I've heard some of that stuff you brought up, like you said about the one video you just put in Google, you find it. I've seen a lot of videos over the years. I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah, that is a really cool concept of having Pokemon in the real world. It makes me think of another question. I'm curious. So was this like before Pokemon Go? Because I know it's kind of like a coincidental thing where, like, they had like the augmented reality stuff where you can bring Pokemon in the real world with like the AR camera and stuff like that. I don't know if that was like anything related to that. I'm assuming it's more like a coincidental thing, or it just kind of came up around when you were starting out your channel and stuff. But what do you think about that?
Well, it was pretty coincidental. So I started that video I talked about, like the Fedora CO video, came out in 2013, which was 3 years before Pokemon Go was a thing. I started animating around 2014, like shortly after I got my YouTube channel. And when Pokemon Go came out, like, I thought it was a very interesting concept because, of course, just because I can like composite a Pokemon in real life doesn't mean like I don't want to see more of that type of stuff. So that made me pretty excited that Go was going to be a thing. And even back then, I guess, sorry, this is going a little bit more off topic.
That's fine, it's going to happen.
The previous question, but another thing that also kind of served as an inspiration for me is around 2013, like with X and Y, which again is when that other video came out. But like, I've noticed that the Pokemon company tends to advertise their commercials with live action. So like, if you look up the original like X and Y commercial, they'll have like a bunch of like kids hanging around with like in this environment with a bunch of Pokemon around them. Like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire has like this guy jumping off a cliff and landing on like Omega Latios and flying around the land. there's some other ones. I think Sun and Moon did it too, but I don't remember. But anyway, back to the original question. We were talking about Pokemon Go. So Pokemon Go, I think, is a very interesting concept, especially now, today in 2020, when they've kind of improved it a lot since 2016. I think it's really cool. It gives kind of augmented reality stuff, and it gives more people the power to kind of composite Pokemon or add them into real life photos and stuff. And that kind of has like frightened me a little bit nowadays, because it does kind of sometimes serve the question of like, is what I'm doing kind of redundant? Because when you can either do all this stuff in Blender to get a photo looking right, or you could take out your phone, get a Pokemon Go, take a picture, and have that Pokemon kind of in your room. I like to think that, not to really say anything like my stuff is better than anybody else's, but I'd like to think that sometimes the stuff, like the little extra touches I add to my renders and my animations, kind of makes it look more realistic or better than some of the Pokemon Go or AR photos, and that's kind of like sometimes my motivation to keep going with stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic with Pokemon Go, for sure, and my content.
Well, I'd have to say that the stuff you do compared to Pokemon Go, it's a lot more like template heavy for Pokemon Go. I haven't used the AR feature. I think I've only used it like a handful of times myself. But what you're doing is really, it's more like cinematography stuff, and it's much more driven by a passion, I'd say. And I definitely can say it looks a lot better than that. I think what really matters is you're making it at the heart with like Blender, and whether you're using someone else's models, your own models, or just something you think up on a whim. I think that's what really makes your stuff special, is you're able to, obviously, as you said earlier, you're able to do something compared to, like, you don't have to be a big budget somebody or do something like that. Pokemon Go, I think, allows anybody to do something like that, but compared to what you're doing, I think it's on a different level. And I do sometimes see similarities, but I think you got to really sit down and think, okay, what he's doing is, a lot more special. And it's simplistic what Pokemon Go does. I think your stuff puts in like a lot of hard work. I was looking at your Discord profile today, and I don't know if you just left the application open. It looks like it said you're playing Blender for 17 hours, or using the application.
Oh, yeah,
but
I'll keep going.
I always see you on that on Discord. Since we're friends, it shows up. Like, it just pops up like, you're playing Blender, or you're just doing something related to your videos. And I think that really shows how much of a passion you have for making your videos.
Thank you. To give credit where credit is due, though, technically, when it says I'm playing Blender, I'm not always playing Blender, because there was kind of a running joke on Discord for a while where when I was like dealing with school, and I was kind of like where I was in this phase where it's like, oh, I really want to be on Blender right now, but like I have this schoolwork to do or something like that. I started this like kind of mini meme called Imaginative Blender, where the idea is supposed to be that's like it's imaginative Blender because I'm imagining myself playing Blender but not actually playing Blender right now. And when it says real Blender, then that means Blender is actually open and I'm actually playing Blender. But does it say real Blender right now?
Yeah, it does say real Blender.
That's weird because Blender is closed right now, so I don't know what the heck is going on.
That's strange. So, I don't know. Sometimes Discord glitches out like that, but putting that aside though, it's obvious though based on your videos you work on and obviously output. From what I've seen, you're putting in a lot of hard work, and you not only bring the real life, you bring Pokemon to there as well, with your cinematography. I think that's really what's special. I thought of something else as well during that, when you were talking about the previous question, but I'll probably think of it later. I did think of the other one. I didn't bring that up though. But
okay.
So far what I'm hearing, I'm really liking what you've got in mind. You have a very creative mind, I'd say, and based on your inspirations, I guess I will ask this. I know you know about a bunch of different YouTubers like Yoshiller and stuff like that. I'm curious, like, why didn't you choose like other paths like Let's Playing or you know, like just like reviews or something? Like, have you ever thought of stuff like that?
Let's playing a little bit, maybe like not as much let's playing, because like for me, not as much let's playing, but like for reviews, top 10s and things like that, I have experimented with that in that like pre-YouTube phase where like I kind of made videos to myself. I did experiment a little bit with top 10s and reviews and stuff, and even today I have considered like going back and maybe even doing a, not really a review, but just kind of an analysis video. So like there's a few games that I know of, one in particular, but I might save that for a little bit later, that I really want to talk about, and I want to give people my thoughts on it. So it's like I could either make like a really long essay talking about my thoughts on this, or I could just make either a little podcast video or a review or even like an analysis video and just share my thoughts on this game or on this subject. I'm not sure if I will yet, but it has been in the back of my mind for a while, so I wouldn't count it out of the question.
Okay. Definitely, if you have anything like you don't want to share like secrets or like future product, you don't have to do that. It's up to you really, but that's pretty interesting. I know I've had a lot of different ideas of what I want to do, but I think it just really comes down to what you feel most comfortable with doing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty unique what you're doing. I definitely think you'll be growing a lot more within the coming, whether it be this year or the coming years, or just months in general. I think what you're doing, so long as you keep up with what you're doing with the Blender and animation. I'm not really sure if there's like a set like name you have, like genre for your channel. You know, you do like I just think of like animation and kind of like a combination of like cinematography. Do you have like a certain name you'd call like the genre of the videos you do in your channel?
I guess just animation would work, but I kind of in my head sometimes have this like little mini genre of like live action Pokemon stuff, even though like that's like either a very specific genre or it's not really something that a lot of people focus on. Like I think I may be like only one or two people that I know of on the internet who actually like exclusively focus on live action Pokemon stuff. So I guess you could say that in itself could be a very tiny genre that I'm a part of. But just in general, I'd say like 3D animation, 3D renders, that's where I would just, and on a broader scale, that's where I would put myself.
I definitely would say that for the same as well. Like I want to think of something like pretty unique for you. I would definitely have to say live action Pokemon fits you pretty well. So thank you for answering that. So I'll ask next though. I heard a bit about this, and I know your original Discord server. Well, it wasn't really yours. I don't know if it was per se, but it was the PokeEgo, I think it's called.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that? I know you're a part of that, and apparently it got, I think it was shut down, or not really shut down, but like retired. Like you can explain that. I'm curious about that.
It's a confusing thing. So what the PokeEgo is, simply put, is it's well, not simply put, but basically, like, and I don't blame you for having questions about this because I haven't done a very good job. As a matter of fact, I'd even dare say I've done a very bad job of explaining what the PokeEgo is. What it is, it's a how do I even describe this? It's a group. Simply put, it's a group of all of my favorite Pokemon. That's kind of like the title they come to be known as. So it's like on my channel banner, you'll see, at least right now, it might not stay there very long, but you'll see like a group of Pokemon, and then it'll say the PokeEgo. That's what the PokeEgo is. It's that group of Pokemon that I kind of, it's a group of my favorite Pokemon, and what the PokeEgo like does, or what it has been, or what it is, has kind of changed over the years. So back then, and even maybe a little bit to still today, the idea behind the PokeEgo is that it was a Pokemon freedoms fighters group. So like back in the day, I used to be very critical of like the way the Pokemon world worked. So like Pokeballs and Pokemon battling, and I'm like, what is going on? And so basically, like, I took all of my favorite Pokemon, put them into one group, called it the PokeEgo, and which was supposed to stand for Equality by Generosity Organization, EGO. But nowadays, it's kind of that, and kind of the PokeEgo in general is kind of taken a little bit of a lesser role on my channel and in my content. So back then, like, the PokeEgo was kind of the central, like, foundation of my channel. So it's like you had live action Pokemon stuff, but the live action Pokemon stuff focused on this group. And nowadays I've kind of like I'm still gonna use the PokeEgo for maybe like some stories I make, but right now it's kind of just on the sideline a little bit. It's more of a side thing rather than being like the core founding principle of my YouTube channel. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense, because I find I have a hard time explaining what this is, probably because
I completely get what you're saying. That's actually my bad. I was completely thinking of something else and I made that question up. I was thinking of Pocket Studios, but I'm thinking I was like, that's what I was referring to at the beginning. I had no clue what that really was at the beginning, but I'm glad you explained that, because that actually relates with the last few questions before it's like getting into a different kind of genre we're talking about question wise. But that's because I know Pocket Studios had, like, I think it was Birdkeeper Toby and a lot of I was surprised to see he was a part of that. But I thank you for explaining that. That sounds pretty unique, though. It sounds like something that I think it's like a personal thing, really, for your channel. I don't know. I had a lot of words, but I felt kind of bad that whole time you're explaining that, because I'm thinking I got that entirely wrong when I was trying to describe at first. But I still appreciate you for answering that. That just kind of adds more depth to the interview. But anything else you want to add about the PokeEgo?
Again, it's no problem. Please don't feel bad, because again, part of this is also on me, because as I've said earlier, I've done a very bad job of explaining what the PokeEgo is and what they do. Like, there isn't really like a stake in the ground, or like a little bio you can look up where it says like, this is what the PokeEgo is. Here's all its members. Here's all their personalities, so on and so forth. But I can talk a little bit about Pocket Studios as well, if you want to know a little bit about that.
We will in a minute, but I think the PokeEgo is a really cool concept, though, now that I think about it. What I wanted to say earlier, before I forgot in my confusion. But basically, I have a lot of different favorite Pokemon as well. I think that's a pretty cool idea, to have like just a wide spread of Pokemon that you enjoy or like. And it's hard to really just pick one. Like, I see, Charizard is kind of like, I almost want to say your mascot from what I see. Is that like one of your favorites, or your, like, would you say it's number one?
Charizard, I'd say, like, is probably my mascot, so I often use it for like my profiles pictures and stuff. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I don't really have like a single favorite Pokemon. More specifically, like, my individual favorite tends to change like on a regular basis. I'd say probably Jolteon would be like my most consistent favorite Pokemon, but I'd say Charizard is definitely up there, like in the top 6 or 7.
All right, yeah. I mean, I completely forgot. I was gonna ask about Jolteon, because I know Jolteon is a pretty big deal with your channel, and it's kind of like a character you created. And I was asking you a bit earlier. I think it was like in like mid-December. I thought it was like the design of Jolteon. I might as well ask you now about it, since I don't really have a question on here. Like, how did you decide to make the concept of like the life of Jolteon, I think it's called? And like, you can also explain a bit of the design you made around your Jolteon character.
So Jolteon had a bit of an interesting start, because to this day, like, again, regarding Jolteon being one of my favorite Pokemon, I don't really know how that happened. I don't know how Jolteon became, because back then Jolteon was just kind of one of those other Pokemon like in that group in the PokeEgo that was just there. But then when I started making like animations, I just picked Jolteon as like a template of sorts, and because of that, it kind of rose up in my favorites. And then I made an entire series about it, which is what my first animation series was, which was Life of Jolteon. But Life of Jolteon today probably isn't one of my better animations. It's not even in like in 16:9. It's in 4:3 on YouTube in a 6. So it's weird. But yeah, it was kind of my first experimental animation series, and like, I actually do kind of have like a series finale or something planned for it eventually. When I do that, I'm not sure, but I will definitely probably do that eventually. But yeah,
I gotta ask. Oh wait, go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to talk about the design.
Yes, that's what I was gonna bring up.
Yes, Jolteon's design. So the thing is like when it comes to like designing like an original Pokemon character, I wanted to do something unique for Jolteon just to kind of have her stand out because like she doesn't really have a unique like an original name. It's just Jolteon, at least at the moment. So I wanted to do something unique, something that would help her stand out. But in addition to that, I also wanted to do something that wasn't like overly crazy. So like I didn't want to like turn her like purple and say that's my original character. She's a special purple Jolteon. What I wanted to do was because like the developers probably put a lot of thought into like the color scheme and design of these characters. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to add something that would kind of complement her design and complement her like personality that I came up with for her. So what I did is I some of the random quirks about Jolteon, just the character, so you can have a little bit more context about what she's like. Like the main definitive quirks I would say about her personality is that she's very temperamental. She changes her emotions a lot. She likes soda, and what else is there? I think those are the two main things. But so what I did is I took like the soda aspect of her personality. So I gave her a bottle cap necklace that's attached to her like her body with a copper wire, or it goes around her neck via a copper wire. And inside that, I have a little symbol that changes colors based on her, on whatever she's feeling at the time. And like I think we talked about this a little bit back, but like
yes.
I kind of somewhat based my design based on Widget from Ace Attorney. In that like whenever like Athena's personality changes in that game, like her little necklace kind of changes color as well. It's kind of based off of that, and so the emotions kind of correlate the same with her as it does with Jolteon. So like white is just neutral, so not really any strong emotion at that point. Red is anger or frustration. Green is like happiness or joy. Blue is like fear or sorrow. And the only one I really changed was instead of yellow for like shock or confusion, I did purple for that, because Jolteon's already yellow, and I wanted to, and purple is a good complementary color for yellow, so I decided to make it purple. And I also really like the color purple, so I wanted to have something in there that was purple.
Man, I gotta say, your design for Jolteon, like the way you explained it and just how it's portrayed, I really like what you got there going, like copper wire, like that goes well because it conducts electricity, bottle cap for the liking soda, and then even just talking about the colors of how her necklace changes, that's really cool. And I find it funny as well, going back, I think the main thing I really like your Jolteon character, mainly because I really like the Ace Attorney series. I got into it, I think the same year I discovered you. I could be wrong about that. I'm trying to remember when I discovered you. It was thanks to, and it's funny how I'm bringing this guy up again, Ben. He just started talking about you right in my streams, like, who's this Wee Monkey guy? And Wee Monkey 2. And I found it pretty funny because the same year, it's just kind of like how it's almost like a fate thing where it just goes around, comes around. Where, like, I was just getting Ace Attorney, and I played the crap out of those games in 2019. I went from the first game, I went all the way up to Spirit of Justice. And Dual Destinies, it was that unique one, because I kind of took a break from the Ace Attorney series for a few months, and I really was looking forward to getting back into it after Apollo Justice. And putting the spelling errors in that game aside, it's a really great title, and I think it lived up to what I was looking forward to. And I like Athena being the new character introduced in that. And I really like the little concept of Widget. And I find that pretty funny how I noticed that with your My Pokemon World, which we'll get into that later on, but I really I saw how when she was scared with the Luigi's Mansion, like I don't remember the name of that video, but it was like inspired by Luigi's Mansion, and when she was scared, I saw it change color. What's that?
No, I was just saying it's called Amiibo Uprising.
Yeah, that's it. My bad. Yeah. But
no, it's okay.
That's really cool. Like I find that just kind of just special how I was like, I got into that series, then I wouldn't have understood that if I wasn't like, all of a sudden I just so happens, it happens to me a lot in life where I'm like, oh, I just got into that subject. I really like that. Now I understand what that means, and I think that's just really cool how, like, it's just something special about your Jolteon character to me. And even the way you described the design, I like that as well. But I have to thank Ben Elated, who he's like a fan of, just seems a lot of people. You especially, like, I think I found you when you did there was like a Wind Waker randomizer stream, I think it was. He was posting like a best moments on his channel or something, and I ended up finding that. But I thought that was really cool. I thought you were like someone who was like really big, but even putting that aside though, I think you're really big with like how much effort you put into your channel, and it's obvious because you're like collabing with people like Patafunan, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And other YouTubers. You're saying?
Nothing. Nope, keep
Okay.
going.
No, it's my bad.
No, it's my bad. I tend to have a bad tendency of interrupting people, so I'm trying to make sure you speak before I like say anything else.
Well, you know, I do that quite a bit myself. I think if I didn't have like a different like life perspective, you're a lot like me. I think if I didn't like unfortunately I tend to swear a bit in my videos when I used to not do that. But you seem pretty like more child friendly. I don't want to like brand you that, but like you seem like the kind of person that if I didn't like, I don't know, play, like you said about you didn't want to, I know in one of your streams you're trying to avoid playing M-rated games. You still have like that thing where you even played an M-rated game before. But I think because I started to get into those games, it's caused me to swear a lot more. And I don't want to do that. It's like, I remember when I was a kid I was against that, but I really like just like your, I don't know really how to describe it, like, I guess persona. It's funny because M-rated game, but I just like how you're still going with that. And you're more child friendly. That's something that I think I wanted to do, but it just kind of naturally happened where I started to become less child friendly. I still try to have but anyways, I'm getting off topic, but yeah, I definitely agree. I can tend to interrupt people as well, and I appreciate it's kind of like back and forth, like, oh, my bad, you're bad, but that's good though.